Hello, people of the world watching new vehicle reviews on the internet. Welcome to this, the 2025 Ford Maverick Lobo, which is not to be confused with the F-150 sold south of the border in Mexico, also called a Lobo, but a new sport truck that's based on the Maverick. So today I'm gonna get up in the air, we're nerd out on the tech specs, see what's different about this little Lobo, and then go give it the beans. All right, first things first, surprising it still has a tow hitch on here. While it has some components from the 4K tow package, this technically is not a 4K tow package. It does have a donut for a spare. It's funny because it literally almost matches the actual wheels. Interesting exhaust choice. No actual tip back here. And who took this thing off-roading? No. All Lobo editions of the Maverick come standard with all-wheel drive, and housed in the center of the steel rear subframe is the twin-clutch rear differential unit capable of torque vectoring the available torque to either left or right wheel, and has a 3.63 final drive ratio. Out back, the Maverick Lobo utilizes a short long arm rear suspension configuration with cast iron knuckles. The lower arm spring bucket is aluminum. A big part of the Lobo package is in the suspension tuning. You get a 28.5mm or 1.12 inch lower ride height coil spring, as well as unique tuned damper, which appear to be house blend Fomoco source. The rear anti-sway bar, which is forward mounted, wow, measures in just over 24mm in diameter. The Maverick is built on Ford's C2 platform, and this Lobo trim weighs in at 3,814 pounds with a 58 to 42 front to rear weight distribution. Also the same platform that the European spec Ford Focus ST is built on, which we don't get here in the States anymore. You got a single Fomoco sourced muffler made out of stainless steel, as well as all the piping up forward of that, and a two-piece unpainted raw steel drive shaft. Aluminum carrier bearing housing, and piping wise, mid pipe measures in 60mm in diameter piping, a little less than 2.5 inch SAE. Hairy cardboard underbody cladding. This is not a flattering camera angle. As far as the transmission goes, this seems to be a point of controversy within the Maverick community because no one has a concrete answer of what transmission is actually in this thing. I've even seen conflicting data on actual Ford documentation as to a part number of what transmission this is. But based on the fact that this is a parts bin vehicle utilizing some components from the European market Ford Focus ST, and Ford internally has said that this transmission is very similar to the 7-speed auto offered in that vehicle, which is called the 7F40. It's essentially an 8F40 with second gear locked out of it within the TCU tuning. Has a maximum torque input rating of 400 Newton meters or 295 pound-feet. And again, that is also paired to a transverse mounted all-wheel drive system, which is sad because there was an available 6-speed manual they could have used from the former Focus RS in this vehicle, but they chose not to offer it. Ease of maintenance, nothing really has changed here from a regular Maverick. You can see where the drive shaft goes into the PTU, and then you got your steering rack right behind it. Start to see a little bit of the turbo up there in the backside of the engine. Steering rack is also specifically tuned for the Lobo model. I gotta sneeze. Up front, it utilizes a partially aluminum in construction McPherson strut style front suspension, paired with those lower ride height stiffer Lobo springs and the in-house blend Fomoco coilover damper. Front anti-sway bar measures in at approximately 27mm and change diameter. Again, with cast iron knuckles, they're raw, unpainted. Take note, the lower ball joint is all in one unit with this lower control arm. Got a hairy cardboard under engine cover, but a little plastic scoop directing airflow up towards that turbo and downpipe. Ah, it's got little aero stabilizer flaps in front of the front wheels. Okay, time for the braking test. Nothing behind me other than my camera gear. Ready, set, stop. Okay. Wow, that was a huge improvement in the braking. Very sharp initial bite when you hit the brakes. tires did an alright job. There's a little bit of improvement could be made there for performance tire. A stopping distance shorter than I was expecting. People of the internet, it has begun. The giveaway on my 1983 Datsun 280ZX. There's no purchase necessary to enter or win. The full rules and details are listed on my website, sarentuned.com, where you can also subsequently go to purchase merchandise or RoboBubble detailing products. Every dollar you spend there will gain you an entry to win either this car or a cash-only prize option in case you don't want the car. Back to your regular scheduled program. That braking was just made possible thanks to a larger 2-piston front caliper sourced from the Euro spec Ford Focus ST with, as best as I can measure, a 330 by 28 millimeter or 13-inch front rotor. The wheels, they are a 19 by 7.5, the positive 37.5 millimeter offset turbo fan style alloy wrapped in a set of 225 55 19-inch Goodyear Wrangler Territory HT all-season tires. While I do like these wheels, I feel it's a missed opportunity for them not to offer optional color choices like gloss white perhaps. Hairy carpet inner fender liners, and ride height wise, while I appreciate the vehicle is lowered for the Lobo, I feel like they could have lowered it a little bit more, maybe the height of this foam finger. All Mavericks for 25 got a revised front end. The Lobo gets a different grille and bumper cover, LED fog lights, active grille shutters in front of the air-to-air front mount intercooler, front-facing camera, black and white Ford logo. The fender badge is the only thing that says Lobo on it outside the truck. Body color side skirts. It's actually not that deep of a wheel well. That's probably why it only has a 225 and a 7.5 wheel. A plastic inner fender liner, aluminium upper mount on that rear strut. Out back, you go down to a single piston caliper with an 11.9 inch or 302 millimeter rear rotor. Wheel and tire, same size as you get up front. In the name of science, I am now going to give this thing the beans. But first, assessment of bolstering. No, they did not add any bolstering to the seats of the Maverick for the Lobo edition. What it did gain though is Lobo embroidered in the seat, as well as some grabber blue and lime stitching. I'm assuming it's grabber blue. It looks like grabber blue. The seats are heated, little control on the screen here, as well as the steering wheel is heated. As far as drive modes go, it's a little confusing to try to find the drive modes in here at first because there's just two tiny buttons on the steering wheel that say mode. I can go from normal to eco to slippery, tow haul. It actually does have a trailer controller on here despite only being able to tow 2,000 pounds. And then sport and Lobo mode, track use only. As far as the traction control goes, the left eyeball on this square frog's face, you can press to turn off traction control or press and hold advanced track off. I also have an M I can press in the center of the rotary dial for manual mode. I have some flappy paddles to manually shift. I am going to leave it in auto mode though and let the robots do the work. And let's see what this thing can do. Ready? Go. All right. Not bad for a launch. A surge every time it grabs a gear too. That's already good. Yeah, it feels quicker than a regular Maverick. The game changer on the transmission, it just feels sporty like it was missing before. Hood pop. No hood strut. The hood's not very heavy though, that's good. Underneath the hood of the 2025 Ford Maverick Lobo is the 2-liter EcoBoost dual overhead cam, all aluminum, single turbocharged 4-cylinder that produces 250 horsepower at 5,500 RPM and 280 pound-feet of torque at 3,000 RPM. Now this does make a little bit more power than the non-Lobo Mavericks, and most notably different when you pop the hood is the new intake design on the Lobo. The regular Mavericks have the air box over here on the 2-liter EcoBoost, which this is now more of a short ram setup with a filter right above the intake manifold. do believe it is still the same twin scroll turbo. It's mounted on the backside of the engine, which doesn't look the easiest to access under the wiper cowl. You can see the charge pipe going down to that front mount intercooler, which this subsequently gives you a ton of room over here next to the battery and fuse box where the old air box used to be. You can see the top of the transmission. Digging in a little bit deeper on this 1995cc turbo 4-banger, it is over squared at an 87 by 83 millimeter bore and stroke with a 10.8 to 1 compression ratio, as a forged steel crankshaft, powder metal rods, and cast aluminum pistons. Moving up to the cylinder head, it does have Ford's TI VCT twin independent variable camshaft timing on both intake and exhaust cams, as well as the exhaust manifold is cast into the head where the single twin scroll turbocharger mounts up to. The horns are located inside the driver fender well under the hood. That would suck if someone beeped while you're working under here. Ease of maintenance wise, you can see the alternator right up top and the accessory drive belt down there on the side of the frame rail. It's kind of tight. Coolant expansion chamber. Valve cover is aluminium and the oil fill cap is kind of tucked in there. It's tiny. Does appear to have an electronic brake booster. Well, it's awesome that this thing exists. I would love to see Ford do a limited production run of a Lobo RS with a 2.3 EcoBoost and a 6-speed manual out of the old Focus RS. Engage beans. It could just be the placebo effect, but it does feel a tad bit quicker than a regular Maverick. I also feel like I can tell that it is an 8-speed skipping a gear for second. I feel like there's something there that my brain is detecting that is awry. Not saying it's bad. I'm just noticing, I think it's in the shift program for second gear. You don't get as aggressive of a little shove as you do onward after that. 3,700 pounds is light for a truck, but not light for a car. That's about what a Mustang GT weighs, I believe. It's got a good power level, but the weight's up there. If you're comparing it like against a GTI or a WRX, it's kind of a porker in terms of those, but I don't know how they could cut weight down on this thing because it is a little pickup. Handle's nice though, even on narrow tires. When it's in the Lobo mode, the transmission does a good job at automatically downshifting for you to keep you in the power. It feels sporty, like it, in terms of being an automatic transmission, it's doing a good job for this application. It's kind of like a detuned Focus RS with a pickup bed. We want a Focus RS with a pickup bed though. Give us an even spicier one. I'm sure on maybe an autocross course, like it's advertised in the little picture here, you'd be able to notice more of the playful nature of the track mode. On a normal road like this, it's fun. It's fun to go around corners with. I do feel like a more grippy tire would go a long way for stuff like this, but maybe swinging the ass end around and stuff in a parking lot full of cones might be more fun with all seasons. Overly aggressive, use my brakes. Yeah, big game changer having a bigger brakes on a little Maverick. It helped out a lot. I'm gonna push my M button, put it in manual mode. Spicy, a little rev on the downshift. Grab a gear. Yep, quick. Super quick on the upshifts. Little surge of torque when you do it. Put it in manual mode and see if I can wind a gear out or if it'll shift for me. No, it shifts for me. So it's not a true manual mode in that aspect. Roll into a little bit of a hesitation when I rolled into it. I'm usually not a big fan of fake induction noises in vehicles unless it's done right. And in this vehicle, I feel it's done right. I don't know why I feel this way, but it kind of reminds me of the old Cologne 2.9 V6 in the 80s Ford Rangers. Even though this is a 2-liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder, which is honestly not one of the best sounding engines, neither is the 2.3 EcoBoost. That's why I would never put an aftermarket exhaust system on my Bronco. I just don't feel they sound that good. If it's because it's got the exhaust manifold cast into the head, which might have a lot to do with it, but the induction noise on this, you get it fake piped in, but also you're hearing real induction noise from that new intake that's on here. Especially when you lit off, you can hear little flutters of the diverter valve just little hissing sounds of the turbo. The back seat didn't change much for the Lobo edition. The only thing really different is the stitching. And I don't remember this. I got dual USB-Cs and an AC power inverter back here. Back seats just like the other Maverick models. You can see I got plenty of leg room for a little truck. A map pocket, soft on the inside. This is how you do a cheap interior nicely. Just shapes and colors, make it look fun. That's solid. Armrest, ooh, that's super soft material, but the padding's a little firm. Geez, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cup holders. Oh, and there's some trays inside there and a QR code. Amplifier for the stereo. There's a speaker, some spots for your babies to drop anchor. It's got a spray-in bed liner, little storage cubby area, a LED bed light, and an AC power inverter. Got some USB charge ports and a button to open the rear window. The door cards still have fun shapes built into them. The dashboard also has some shapes to the plastic as well as metal hardware in this trim. Got wireless phone charger and a slot to just put it there. There's a little pocket right here where you can stow some seeds to feed birds on the side of the road. Huge fan of the new infotainment screen for the 25 and up Mavericks. No longer has the little weird cubby off to the side. The graphics are improved and just more modern looking, has Fruit and Robot compatibility. The actual menu system itself is pretty basic, does have a digital owner's manual. Takes a little while for it to load up. It also has YouTube baked into it, so you can rewatch this car view. Little area off to the side you can view telemetry on. Oh, no wonder I couldn't see them. They were turned all the way down. The Bang & Olufsen sound system that's in here is not too bad. It's got some nice mids to it. That's what really stands out the most. There's huge speakers in the C-pillars. There's a center channel speaker in the top of the dash. Also, the dash is all blue. In case you don't want to use a touchscreen, you still get a physical volume knob as well as some seek buttons, a camera. This one's fully spec'd out, so it does have a power sunroof. Since the Maverick is essentially based on a car platform, it made perfect sense to turn this thing into a sport truck. More so in the past when sport trucks were based on a body on frame platform. Because then you can really make this thing handle well because it's a unibody, it's a car platform underneath. The biggest appeal of the Maverick when it first came out for most people was the price, starting in the low 20s. This one, as equipped, fully spec'd out, is a little over $40,000. It's getting up there, but this is also a 250 horse, 280 pound-foot of torque, all-wheel drive, little canyon carver with a pickup bed. So you compare it like against a Subaru WRX, it's pretty close, or I guess you could have Golf R-ish a little bit. It's really hard to assess the value of this. I guess the closest thing you could compare it to back in the past would be the GMC Cyclone Typhoon platform, which was a tiny pickup truck with lots of power and all-wheel drive. Now, some shortcomings where this could have improved is, I know they have a manual transmission that would work in this vehicle. Ford knows they have a manual transmission that would work in this vehicle. It's been out of production for a little bit now, but it's not like they make the transmission. I believe it was Getrag that made the Focus RS transmission. That would have made this a real enthusiast pickup. Also, another critique, well, it has the grabber blue and lime stitch on the interior. Why not offer those as exterior colors for this? This deserves some of Ford's bright, flashy colors that they'd offer on stuff like the Mustang. Other than that, the fuel economy is still excellent for what you're getting. It's useful and practical because it's got a little pickup bed. It's just an all-in-all win-win. It was a brilliant idea to make a little street performance truck out of this thing. It is now time to give the Maverick Lobo some scores, starting with the bean score, the assessment and the feeling you get in your gut when you give it the beans. And it's getting a rating of, followed by the cookie score, the assessment of value. And as this Lobo is equipped with an options package added to it, bringing it just a hair over $40,000, it gets a rating of, it's hard to value this because it doesn't really have any competition out there, which it should. Next is the wrench score, the assessment of ease of maintenance, and it gets a rating of, followed by the squid score, the assessment of handling, and it gets a rating of. Lastly is the penguin score, the assessment on how much I personally like a vehicle, and the Lobo gets a rating of The little Maverick was already so likable as it was, but turning it into a street truck is just brilliant. I'm a huge fan. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this review. I'll see you soon with another. Bye!